What happens in the mind of con artists? What makes their brain so well equipped for psychological trickery? Is it greed? A lack of empathy? Loose morals? Whatever it is, we are fascinated by con artists.
In 2004, Jan Lewan, also known as the Polka King, was arrested and charged with securities fraud. Lewan was sentenced to 5 years in prison.
Yan Lewan is a Polish-American Grammy-nominated polka musician who performed for Donald Trump, Ronald Reagan, and even befriended Pope John Paul II.
His investors were elderly members of the Polish-American community, mostly polka fans. Lewan's financial crimes were described as Ponzi schemes.
He defrauded over 400 people in 22 states of millions of dollars. Lewan's American dream was built on the backs and bank accounts of his biggest fans.
The judge said harshly, "You go to jail."
We've all been lied to. We've all been offered something that is just too good to be true. And still, we fell for it. Although we love a good con, we hate it when it happens to us. To find out how to resist the manipulation, we invited some of the greatest con artists to our institute. Together, with a team of experts, we are going to analyze their stories, pick their brains, and reveal what their body language tells us. Welcome to the Institute.
Hello, Mr. Lewan.
Hi, hi.
Hi. How was your flight?
Great, great. I slept all night and ready to go.
Wonderful. They are waiting for you in the meeting room. Shall we?
Yes, let's go. Well, good morning.
Hello, Mr. Lewan, hello.
Hello, hello.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
And welcome to the Institute. I know you've had a long journey, so we're really very grateful that you can be with us. Let me do the introductions. I'm Kerry Daines, and I'm a consultant forensic psychologist. I would love to talk to you about your social history, all the events in your life that have shaped you. And this is Mark Frank. Mark is a professor of behavioral science.
I would like to observe you as far as your behavioral stuff and how that correlates to how you think, how you process, what you feel, and other ways just to try to understand a little bit better about who you are.
Yeah, I'd be more than happy to cooperate with, yeah.
And this is Moran Cerf, and he is a professor of neuroscience and business.
I'll try to learn from you how you think. I'm going to do it by having you play games, and I'm going to look at your brain while you do that so I can understand how you think and how we can think when we interact with you.
I understand, yeah. Go for it.
It's important for me to say that we're not here to be your doctors, we're not here to give you therapy, and we're certainly not here to diagnose you, but we just want to understand as much as we possibly can about con artists. For now, I think you can take a look around the Institute, and then in a few hours, I will have an interview with you, and you will have the opportunity to tell your story as you see it.
Thank you. It was nice meeting you. I'm looking forward.
Yes, see you later.
Bye-bye. See you later.
When I met Jan Lewan, I met a person who was delightful to speak to. who was very entertaining. He had a twinkle in his eye. He was so upbeat, so positive. But after we did further investigation, after we found out that he knew that he was selling an investment that he had no business selling, that his businesses were simply not making money, we thought this innocent lamb is actually a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Hello. Good to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Yes. I can't wait to hear the story of your life.
Oh, thank you.
What made you want to come and share this experience with us?
I'm not here to defend myself, but every medal have two sides. I said I will be happy to come here as long as if we have this opportunity to say exactly like everything was wrong or right, but like it was.
What were you eventually convicted of?
Oh, for the illegal investment. That was the crime, which I admit that I did wrong.
So, what did you promise your investors? What was it that made that so attractive to them?
I was 3% more than on the Wall Street. And the Wall Street was 9%, I was giving 12%. Yeah?
How did this become what I understand was a Ponzi scheme?
Yeah.
Were you using other people's money to pay off interest of the other investors so that they believed that their investments were growing?
The investment was growing. I didn't have luxury life. I did not pay from one and building up like a snowball. I was building bigger and bigger security with, I always say, with my merchandise, amber, jewelry, gold, diamonds.
You must have been making a good living in America at that point because you were successful, you were popular.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, here he is, Mr. Jan Lewan.
He was known worldwide as the Polka King. Some even say Yan Lewan was to polka what Elvis Presley was to rock and roll.
I mean, to be nominated for a Grammy in 1995.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Yeah, I mean,
I
that's
met everybody.
It's an amazing achievement.
Mm-hmm. You know, I didn't really like polkas.
You didn't like it?
Well, I was in the classic music, and to play polkas didn't work too good, you know. But I turned this polka to the big band, to more professional thing.
Did you fall in love with it?
Yes. So once when Trump hired me, I played polkas for 17 years for all of his big turn in his casinos. They didn't really like polkas.
Mm-hmm. So what's his sense about polka?
Yeah, doesn't like it.
Right.
He's the Polka King, but I'm sensing there that he doesn't like it to start with.
Right, and then, you know, you got some information from him that he was a classically trained, and so this was maybe slumming to him, if you will.
Yeah.
Not a good use of his talents. And he's showing you this. We call that a referent gesture. So that's there for your consumption. He's making sure you know this. But it also, I think, captures what he really feels as well.
So he's an expressive character. I mean, he is a larger-than-life character.
And the thing is, on the first pass, you saw a lot of the smiles. So it was a lot of positivity. You know, little bits of the movement, it all looks sort of natural. It's all sort of persuasive. He's engaging. Those sorts of folks are often a little bit harder to read in general, right? Particularly with a smile. The smile can cover a lot of things.
Oh, yes.
So, how did your career develop?
Well, when I was 16 years old, they were forming the music theaters and they were looking for the voices, to the choir, to this. So I went for the audition, although you have to be 18 years old, but I changed my identification for 18 instead of 16.
Oh, okay.
And they were short of tenors, and I get in.
That little bit of deception actually created an opportunity for you, didn't it?
Definitely, yes. Yeah.
Would you say that you were a little bit of a rebel?
Yeah.
And you were not, you were not shy, were you, in faking your age on that form?
No, I wanted for any price to achieve.
You say at any price?
Yes.
Czasem człowiek bywa smutny, czasem zły. Jak z kamienia mu się wiedzie, nie udaje nic. Chciałby kilku słów pociechy, lecz u bliźnich nie znajduje je.
You had a good career in Poland.
Yes, I did. The way to get in, it was sometimes very difficult. You have to sing the songs what they give it to you. And in many cases was the propaganda songs to support the Communist Party. During the Communists, they have this entertainment for the 1st of May, for October Revolution, for that in the factories.
But it was the opposite of what you believed, wasn't it?
That's correct, yes.
How uncomfortable did you feel about it?
Uncomfortable. I sang once and took off and do my stuff. But you cannot say no. The communists, it's the bad thing to make a living, difficult to make a living. Nothing is practically available. In the meat stores, you can put the codes. There wasn't any meat. You don't trust too many people. Everybody was fighting for their own existence. So family was very much tight.
What did you dream of? What was your dream at that time?
We were always listening to Radio Free Europe. My father always listened that.
Mówi Radio Wolna Europa, głos wolnej Polski.
Never in history has the American family known such well-being.
A standard of living beyond the wildest dreams of anyone who lived a half-century ago.
And then we heard how it's beautiful on the West. Everybody driving Cadillac, the money hanging on the trees, but they saying they're practically hanging on the trees. You just pick them up, how beautiful life is
So
to
was
the
that
West.
something that you always aspired to, is to
Exactly.
go to America?
Yeah, that's what I'm leading to, yes.
I wonder how much of his childhood in Poland really impacted upon his desire for American dream, the American dream success. And I wonder whether the success itself could ever live up to the fantasy that had been developed during that childhood. And maybe that's why he continued to go after it, even when actually he'd achieved, more than most people would ever achieve.
The image of America, if you're sitting in Europe and watching it, is money grows on a tree. That's the image he had in mind. He came and he learned it's not the case, but you can still make it if you just work on different magic. And he made his own narrative.
And he has succeeded against the odds in the past. And I think that he's just learned from that he can succeed no matter what.
I heard that one of the big singing group, Mazowsze, went to New York for the tour, and half of the group came back. Another half asked for political asylum, and they stay. Well, maybe one day I will go with the theater or something, And actually what's happened, because in the Theatre Sirena I was working, there was impresario from New York. He came to me and he said, well, Jan, 2 years from now, I will get you with the group as well. I said, I didn't believe it, but I said, oh, that's beautiful. You know. But yeah, 2 years later, I was with the theatrical group to the North America. Yeah. Next day, I took the train and I went and celebrate with my parents. I'm going to America. But I didn't tell them I'm going and I won't be back.
With tears in my eyes, I left my Polish home. 2 suitcases packed with everything I own. America, the money trees, this was my only goal.
So off you went to America, and what happened there? Was there money growing on trees?
No, that was a little disappointment, yeah. When the group went back and I stayed, then you realize, well, it's not like I expect. Maybe I make mistake. But I leave that just for myself. I was showing my family I did the right thing. So I was working in the gas station and all kinds of jobs.
The time that Jan spent under communist rule in Poland is significant. I think that must have made the fantasy of going to America and succeeding all the more enticing, all the more thrilling. And so I think that's a real part of what motivates him and has driven him. But I think maybe he accepted the American culture a little bit too well, because he became greedy.
Body, heart, mind, and soul. I dream that everyone in Vegas by now will know my name. In Chicago and Cleveland, I will have great pay. In Big Apple, you will see my smiling face. From Central Park, so hot, even in Park Place.
With Jan Lewan, I look for a lot of things that have to do with emotions and a lot of things that have to do with interacting with other people. How are you feeling? Okay?
Yeah, fine.
I think that there's something in the brain that drives our behavior. So if you take a person who's a con artist and we look at their brain, we have a chance of finding a difference between them and the average person. And if there is this difference that we can point out to, then maybe we can understand ourselves and change it, fix it, or at least learn how to avoid it if we have it. In this one, you see a pair of eyes, and those eyes carry some emotion in them. Take the cursor to the word that you think it reflects, and then press it.
Annoying. Oh, upset.
Here are the things that I looked at with him. First of all, he is very good in empathy. So I had him look at emotions and kind of read them and try to figure them out. He was nearly perfect. And when he made mistakes, it was usually a mistake of English. He just didn't know the word. Like, what is the word? I don't know, disrespectful. He kind of, so I think he was good in reading emotions. And the last thing I learned about him that was relevant is that he doesn't really take chances. In each round, you can press this button. It says pump up the balloon, and then it's gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. The bigger the balloon, the more money you make.
I like that.
Okay? But if you get it too big, it's going to explode. And if it explodes, you get nothing. All right, let's start one. So try inflating it.
Oh, I got it now, yeah.
So this one, you got nothing because it exploded.
That's right.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
What was your strategy? What did you
Well, I learned on the first one who blow up. No?
Yes.
And that's why I don't go too far. But I try to, what I will do if I will blow the balloon, how much I can, the size was telling me, hey, don't overdo.
So you kind of took one trial to learn, and from then on you never changed.
You got that. Yeah.
All right. He took a chance in the beginning. Once he got burnt, this became the limit, and from then on he stayed within the limits of that. So he never took a chance second time, compared to other con artists who constantly pushed. Wherever the boundary is, he stayed always just below that, but he never tried once again to push it.
Now, he got burnt when he was prosecuted for his scheme and went to prison. So that's actually a good sign, isn't it, for the future?
Yeah, recidivism. Like we think that at least he learned, and now at least on this crime, in this situation, he wouldn't do it again.
Yeah.
But if he's really a sophisticated con artist, there's just going to be a different way to, invent a new way to make money. It's going to be now the tango dancer or the...
On the deniers and
Why did you want to start running tours to Poland?
That was one of the opportunity for the good income. If you have 200 people, that time I was getting $30,000-$40,000 for my profit to be the leader of the group.
I suppose that also led to you picking up more fans for your music.
Not only, I don't know if we're leading to that or not, but you probably have questions coming that way. That group, taking them to Poland during the communist time, in Poland everything was cheap. You buy for 10 cents, you sell in America for $20, okay? So I went with this group for shopping, for this, and everybody was coming to me, say, Jan, why don't you open store? We're gonna invest money to you, buy the Poland. So I came back and I said, that's a pretty good idea.
2, 3.
You're telling me that people said to you, open up a store full of Polish souvenirs that you can buy very cheaply in Poland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
but we want to give you the money to do it.
Yes, but that time I need that 10 cents, for speaking generally. So when we come back, we create this promissory note, and this people was flying. I didn't ask nobody. They asked me.
People came to you and suggested that they invest in your souvenir business.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you need other people's money? Surely you had money of your own that you could have invested.
Not enough to invest it. When I came to Krakow and buy the factory of Wyspiański, there was 120,000 little dolls available, and I bought them all, but I didn't have money to buy them all. So when they invest the money, I was able, in that time, even Lech Wałęsa was telling me, Janek, buy now, that's gonna change. But I needed huge amount of money to make that happen. So I didn't want to just put my effort for that. I was bringing containers of the merchandise.
Hi, my name is Jan Lewan, and I would like to invite you to our gift shop.
Authentic handcrafted costumes and dolls directly from Poland. Hand-woven rugs, religious items from Częstochowa.
So explain to me how this souvenir scheme worked. People said, I want to invest money into this, your souvenir shop, and then what would you give them in return?
I prepared with my accountant promissory note, which I promised 12% return. And the promissory note was perfectly structured to commit myself to be faithful to my promises. They were receiving every month interest. My attorney with my accountant, who reviewed that promissory note which my accountant made, he forgot to tell me I have to register that in the government. He said, everything looks good, only you offer such a big percentage. I said, well, that's fine. I wanted people to be happy. They want me to do that, I do for them. I'm gonna come up good with that, 10 cents, sell for $20, I'd be fine.
So had you done all of your maths beforehand so you were very confident that you could deliver 12% back to your investors?
The store was doing very good, actually. That time I was buying amber for 50 cents a gram. Today it's $6. So I was doing right thing that time.
So you were buying and buying and buying with all of this money?
In every floor, everywhere in my store was the cases of merchandise.
And you absolutely believed that you had a market for all of this merchandise?
When you watched that tape, did you have a feeling for a moment that it somehow paused? He finishes up his comment, and he just sort of ends it, and then...
was the cases of merchandise.
And you absolutely believe...
This, I thought when I was watching this that I accidentally hit a pause button because he's always moving while he was talking. And then there was this freeze, and he's no blinks, no movements, staring at you. So whatever he said, he's very carefully monitoring your reaction to it, is what that basically means.
So is that a convincing behaviour then? He wants to see that he has convinced me and he wants to maintain eye contact with me because there's that belief, isn't there, that if somebody's looking you in the eye, then they can't possibly be fooling you in any way.
Right. That's the perfect term for that, I think. The convincer. Am I convincing you? I'll watch it again. So he...
merchandise.
And you absolutely believed that you had a market for all of this merchandise?
And then he stopped. He didn't say, and therefore I was hoping to sell. And so sort of, I want the story to end here. Please don't ask me any more, Carrie Danes.
Let me understand exactly what you...
Sure.
Yeah. What exactly did you do that was illegal? Was it unregistered promissory notes?
That's the one.
Yes.
Another one that should never offer 20% and tell them that everything is fine. That was wrong. Then I was told to stop, and I didn't stop. That was another wrong thing to do.
He was told these promissory notes are illegal, so stop it. Stop your business. Pay back your investors. And he made a conscious decision to continue. The way that he's telling his story, it's very passive. Well, investors came to me, they flocked to me, and I didn't realise that my promissory notes weren't registered. But I feel that there's more to this story than we're being told, because this was a Ponzi scheme. So if it was a Ponzi scheme, he has, by definition, taken money from somebody and not invested it into his souvenir company, but paid back other investors in order to keep their trust, keep their confidence, and therefore encourage more people to join the scheme. So that's con artistry, isn't it?
Because it's intentional, right? Because what you said in the beginning was it's portrayed as sort of a crime of negligence, if you will. I just forgot, I should have. But what you're pointing out now, this is clear intentionality, and there's a difference between the two.
We need to get him out of the performance zone and get the truth out of him.
Does he ever come out of the performance zone? I don't know.
He has prepared statements for everything, but I think that either if we tire him, talk until he's not able to, or if there are some issues that he's less comfortable talking about, to show emotions that he doesn't show otherwise. I bet they exist.
This is the third day. The funny thing is, they learn everything what they want to learn from my side. Now, they put their mind how they can put the words in my mouth. The things what they need to hear to make this spicy, all of this. But I'm not gonna allow to that because I already said like it was, and I'm gonna stick to that. So it's very interesting. I enjoy this challenge right now. Now, they try to f me up. That's not gonna be happen. Oh, hello.
Hello, hello, Jan. Have a seat.
Thank you. Nice to see you again.
I hope so. Do you know, I really wanted to chat to you again because there are just some things that I don't fully understand from the first interview that I wanted to clarify. Why has this been described as a Ponzi scheme?
Well, that's the easiest way to describe. And in our system of prostitution, it's sometimes people express it's lots of to be desire. They have no time for explanations, and I don't want to explain. I
don't understand the explanation though. So there must have been a point then when your business stopped making money.
Yes, I didn't realize that the things in the changes in the world gonna change everything. Till the point that people after the communists break down, people can go to Poland on their own. They don't need at my store to buy that doll for $20. They satisfy them with the souvenirs when they go there, and they were going to Poland in a mass on their own and satisfy them with the things what I offered them for much more money in my store.
What was it, do you think, that stopped you being honest with these investments?
I was buying time. I believe I'm gonna make it, and I was buying time to come to the better time. Yeah? When the problem began, I still have that millions of dollars in merchandise, which I cannot sell because we have 9/11, when the market went down, and one after other, and then I was doing wrong. Yeah.
But the 20% that you admit was absolutely, you knew that was fraudulent.
That's correct.
Yeah. What year did you start writing those promissory notes?
On 2001, when the problems begin. That's what I start offering more. Yeah.
Started to use then investors' money to pay.
And I changed for 20% in that time to keep going, because I still believe if I will pass by that time, everything what is laying down in my storage, it much more than I needed to pay off everybody.
I see what you're saying. So you turned to that in order to, as you felt, buy yourself some time. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, that was my crime. That's a Ponzi scheme. Yeah,
that's why I went to prison.
That is a Ponzi scheme. Did you have a typical investor?
Investors was mostly in my traveling people was mostly older people.
Older people.
Yeah, and that they become the investors.
You offered people 20% return
Yes.
on their investment.
Knowing that I'm doing illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you knowingly offered people 20% return on their investment
Yes.
during what was a financial crisis.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that they didn't feel that this was very fishy?
Because through these 20 years they trust me, and I believe that I will still make it.
Why do you think that they had so much trust in you?
Well, all of these things what I was doing lead them to trust me. I give them service all the time. They got everything what make them comfortable when they go with me someplace or do. So that builds the trust.
Were these repeat customers as well, so people that maybe you'd seen numerous times over the years?
Good thing you just said. I have people who went with me over 10 times overseas. When I was doing the concert, that one person who was involved with the promissory note with me, he brought 10 other people because they know it's his business.
When I looked at the case of Jan Lewan, I saw that this was affinity fraud. That's when the person who is perpetrating the fraud will go to members of his own community or pretend to be part of a community. And the purpose is that the investment will just be discussed within this particular group. And hopefully because of the trust, there will not be any questions as to whether the person can really deliver on what it is he or she is selling. He knew all these famous people who would identify with Jan Lewan. He knew Lech Walesa, and he knew the Pope. So who better to trust if you were going to invest your money than a man who is friends with the Pope?
How do you feel about these people who, as you say, built up a trust in you over 20 years, but then lost their money?
Yeah, I'm sad. I'm sorry for them. Added to that is, after prison, I organized the tour, and most of the people who lose the money travel with me.
And what did you glean from that? What did you believe that
I just
meant?
try to give you a picture that some of the people knew what I went through with all of these things, that even though I shouldn't say cheat, even though I did wrong, they my friends now, lots of them. They travel with me.
They've forgiven you?
I guess we can say, forgive me, they don't talk about that.
How he speaks about his victims and calls them as friends. What do you think is his view of his victims? Do you think he realized that they actually are victims?
I don't think he wants to realise what he's done to people. A lot of his victims are dead, so he doesn't really have to think about them. And of course, they didn't live out the retirement plan that they'd envisaged, so the end of their life probably was very hard because of his actions. And so he's got 400 victims, and yet he picks out the few that still remain friends with him. I'm sure that 400 people have not remained friends with him. Maybe 10 or 20 have. Maybe even more than that, because a lot of them really were hardcore fans of his. So it's easy to point to them and say, well, they are typical of my victim group, when in actual fact, they are not.
Na zdrowie.
Yeah. I can only imagine standing on stage and being able to affect people. You know, they're moving, they're dancing, they're doing that because of you. And what do you think is going through their mind when you're performing?
Well, first of all, make me feel good that it's work and they enjoy it. They forget the problems. When I see dancing polka, professor of university, a doctor, and this, and they just lose themselves. They dancing polka, clapping hands. That make me feel good, you know. Yeah.
And so then when you move to other ventures, like with the, you know, selling the objects and things like that, and interacting with those fans, how does that make you feel?
Well, this is motion, different moments of absorb that sometimes make me feel good that they, with the trust, they go for it, they buy the things from my store, they invest the money, they do this, make me feel good. I am dedicated to them to make that world for them, not only for me, you know.
So when you got one of those investors who was impatient or whatever, and saying, "Hey, Jan, I'd like, you know, my money," what would you say to them at that point?
Most of them, I give them money.
Oh.
Immediately, in the same moment, till the catastrophic moment came that I wasn't able. Then some of them turned to be impatient. I shouldn't say ugly, but they didn't hold this love. You know, there was a moment of hard to handle. You know?
And you ask him why the business ultimately went belly up, and he had to file for bankruptcy, he pointed to the unfortunate accident that he had while touring. It didn't make sense that the accident with the tour bus would have anything to do with paying investors back.
Many of the artists we met had a clear event that they alluded to as the moment that things happened to them. Like, I think that Lewan said that the accident, the car accident, this is like he picked that moment, and that's the moment where things kind of from white to black. That's when it all happened. If it only weren't for the crash, I would have actually got the money back. Everything would be okay.
Desperate times call for well, not necessarily desperate measures, but desperate times seem to call for optimism. It's so counter. There's a real thrill, not just in pulling it off and getting that reward, whatever it may be, financial, but the journey.
Right. Is it a roller coaster or is it a car going over the cliff?
We were to Florida for 6 sold-out concerts. I took the jury with me, and everybody knew, my investors, everybody knew I coming, they're gonna buy 50% discount, and everything was just perfect, but we never get there. I call him my husband-in-law. Well, he married my wife.
Right.
Yeah. My husband-in-law was the driver. And he falls asleep. Two of my musicians get killed, and my son was critical in the drama hospital, and that that was the download in my whole activities. Yeah. So that jury, expensive jury for $100,000, was all over the highway in South Carolina. And then the bus was upside down. I managed to come up from the bus and I said, I'm gonna pick it up, that jury. So they said, no, you go to the ambulance. I still wanted to pick it up, this jury.
Stop
Yeah.
just a second. I've got
Go.
to stop you there.
Yeah.
Because I have to ask you this. 2 people were killed in this crash. Your son terribly injured. You get out of the bus and your first thought is to pick up the jewelry.
Yes, yeah. I didn't know that 2 get killed at that moment.
Right.
I didn't know that my son is going to the trauma. They were taking my remaining musicians in the ambulances and I knew that I have to save this, what is all over the highway.
Yes, but your bus is upside down, so human life is at risk. There are ambulances there. Do you think that you had become too focused on material goods at that time?
At that time, unfortunately, that was for me important to save that, because I feel that then what next? I mean, I didn't see the way out, you know. So unfortunately, yes, you're right.
The Ponzi scheme had to end because he no longer had a way to bring in new investors. It was critical for him to tour. And he knew that if he couldn't tour, he couldn't bring on new investors. And if he can't bring new investors, he can't pay the old ones back. And that's why his scheme ended after that bus accident.
So here is the thought that stuck with me throughout the entire time we had with Jan. To me, he's learned that it's bad because he was coached, prison, someone. I don't know if he registers the badness at any point. For every question he was asked, you would get the official answer and the word but, and then the truth. Why did he do that? I did it because it's X and Y, but actually, here is the truth. And if you can cut in the movie the second part, you get his narrative, which is, it happened to me, it was the fault of other people, there was a lot of, and that's a dissonance. He lives in those 2 worlds. He knows the correct answer, the kind of prepared statement, and he has his own answer that keeps coming up. He can't hide it.
He externalizes all of the blame. But when you pin him down, he has to acknowledge that at the time that he was running this Ponzi scheme, and it was a Ponzi scheme, he knew that his actions were criminal. But I think that he thought that the end justified the means. That it was all going to work out fine. And I think that here is somebody who has got a pretty sensational life story, and he has succeeded against the odds. And I think that he's had to come down to earth with a bump.
Well, it's about time to go home.
How have you enjoyed your time with us?
Very much. There were subjects like they never before come up with that, so I was able to just express myself.
Like
and
what?
I thank you. First of all, you know, I never had that really opportunity to say how sorry I am, but also never have opportunity that I never give up, because I wanted repay as much I can. I never looking. I driving my friend car. I living in the home. Everything I putting in to my restitution.
The last sentence had one sentence that said, I wanted to say that I'm sorry. Then the word but, and then a very long explanation.
Sorry, yeah.
But this is something that we noticed before.
I really do admire your enthusiasm and your energy. I wish I had your energy. And I think that your optimism and your self-belief generally are good things. But there's a saying, you can have too much of a good thing. And I think that maybe you had a bit too much optimism and too much self-belief. And you gambled with other people's money and other people's lives. So maybe that's a lesson for you, to try and be a little bit more tempered, I think, in these qualities, which are fantastic in many circumstances, but they can get a little out of control.
Yeah, well, I cannot, this is related with give up. I have to have that optimism. I have to think positive way.
Yeah.
I have to put a more energy than a regular person in my age. I'm gonna make it.
You're still young.
Yes, of course, better believe it.
It was a
Thank
pleasure.
you. Pleasure meeting you. Yes. Let me
Take
do it.
care, Jan. Oh,
That's
thank you, you
Polish
charmer.
way. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm gonna take a plane back home full of positive thinking, being with you guys. Yeah.
Okay, well, we've enjoyed meeting you. It's been an experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a safe journey.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. See you in Buffalo. Yeah.